The talk continues right here on the Morning Scramble. Thank you so much for staying with us and being with us and being our audience. We always appreciate having you with us. The Morning Scramble, as you know, starts at 8 o'clock on AZTV every morning. The name of the book is Presidential Perks Gone Wild. The author is Robert Keith Gray. The British spent $57.8 million on its royal family last year. Americans spent nearly $2 billion housing, transporting, entertaining, and staffing our first family and paying a hefty portion of the president's campaign expenses. Robert, welcome. Thank you for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
You know, I've seen in my long years on living, I have seen many books titled a must-read. A must-read is a minor way of saying that you must read this book. I've been perusing it, and it is absolutely astounding the way we are giving a silent agreement to all of this by not speaking up. The Royals spent $57.8 million. We spent $2 billion on the president. The overall presidential expenses. Why should we care about this, Robert?
Well, we should care about any expense of government, and this one's out of control. Almost for every other expense in government, there's a check and balance that gives us the chance to know what is going on. We don't have any idea what's being spent here because there's no central point, no central person who's responsible.
You say there's nearly 2 billion reasons why we should care government spending.
1.4 actually, but that's
right.
It's climbing toward 2 billion so fast it's scary. It's increased with every administration, but this last current administration is just booming out of control.
Now, you have been a close friend to 5 presidents. You were in the Eisenhower's cabinet, and you were active in the campaigns of Richard Nixon, Senator Barry Goldwater, McCarthy, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush. You have seen these expenses climb, haven't you, with each president?
There's no question. They have climbed with every president, but they've never gone totally out of control as they are now. And it's come to the point where someone has to be put in charge of it and be responsible for it. It's very difficult to get an accurate figure. I had 2 full-time research assistants working on this book with me, and it's really tough to get the accurate figures. So much of it is obfuscated in other departments' budgets and so forth.
Do we know what we can, I know there's no one thing, but a myriad of things, I'm certain, to which we can attribute this?
Well, I think, I don't mean to make this a partisan comment, but I think it's, in one way, this is attributable to the fact that the president, in a time of great unemployment and great national debt, hasn't bothered to reduce his expenses by a penny. That's bothersome, I think, and that worries me a lot.
Robert, he promised to create jobs. He did indeed create thousands of government jobs. Am I misreading that? Well,
certainly created an enormous staff of his own. You know, the president today has a total on his staff just out of control. He has a total of 469. I call them assistant presidents because they're top staff. They're not secretaries or research assistants or secretarial at all. They're top assistants. 226 of them are paid between $100,000 and $170,000 a year. That's unseemly, although that's apparently who's running the government while the president's out campaigning all the time.
Quoting from your book, the spending binges by Obama during what is being called the Great Recession, with as many as 20% of Americans actually out of work, wages stagnant, the price of gas increasing, and the cost of food increasing. Obama makes no sacrifices and plunders the American treasury as he and Michelle live like kings and queens. Not just the president, but our First Lady is spending money like it's water.
Well, she's a good example. Her chief of staff is paid $172,200. They take that back to even Jackie Kennedy with a very active social calendar and all. Had only six on her staff. Miss Obama has a big staff. The chief of staff, $172,000. Has 4 others that are paid between $114,000 and $140,000. And here she is, 42 days vacation plus weekends last year. Come on, and the government bristling with the checks and balances that somebody ought to be checking into that.
Right, I agree. This is astounding. These are astounding figures, and I totally agree with you. I guess my core question is, and I think any American reading this book, the core question has to be a very simplistic why. From why is it happening? Why are we allowing it to happen?
Well,
go ahead.
Lots of reasons. We of course, admire our president. Any president that has that office, we look up to him. We want him to have every comfort and every benefit. But we don't expect them to take advantage of it. And that's where I think I have the problem. For example, the enormous cost of Air Force One, it shakes the mind, but according to the Air Force report that we received, it costs $181,000 an hour to run Air Force One. And that doesn't include, of course, it doesn't fly alone. It never flies alone. Its twin is there as an escort plane. Then you have the transport planes carrying the presidential helicopter, the limousine, the campaign bus. That whole air armada moves every time the president uses Air Force One. And so often he's used it. The last 2 years, for example, he made a whimsical trip out to the swing state of Ohio to witness the swearing in of local police officers. Mm-hmm. He went to Ireland to visit a pub named for him. He went to Chicago to shoot some basketballs. I mean, just not just in the campaign use, but his federal use.
And I think the one that was highly publicized, and we really was on the tip of our tongues. We spoke about this around the water cooler a lot. Was of course the date night. I believe it was to New York, that cost $1 million of taxpayers' money. Am I correct on that one?
Well, I think you're reasonably correct on the figure, although that probably wouldn't include the cost of the New York City policemen and firemen who had to be on extra duty
security.
And so forth.
Exactly. Robert, stay with us. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, Robert Keith Gray is the author of Presidential Perks Gone Royal. You stay right there.